Hey guys, it's Brick Thunder, and today we're going to be unboxing the Home Depot 2024 Levitating Reaper and Cat. Alright, so we have some company for this unboxing here, and this thing is awesome. This just came in today, along with the pumpkin archway, which I also ordered. And I'm super excited to get into this unboxing because this is definitely one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite. It's probably actually between this and the pumpkin archway. I also got the knight and the Carl, the clown. I can't use him this year because I don't have a circus theme. That will be coming next year, but the other three I definitely have some plans for. Now the pumpkin archway I'm going to be using in the gift shop, so it's not technically in the haunt, and this guy is not really in the haunt either. He's actually before. He's outside kind of as a decor piece before you walk inside. His box is actually fairly small, so that's awesome for storage purposes because it is a 12-foot, but still has a pretty nice box. So let's get straight into the unboxing because I'm excited to see him. Here we go. All right, so let's open this up. I think he's just as excited to see what's inside because he's definitely going to be crawling in this afterwards. So let's see. We have instructions on the top right there, like most Home Depot props. We'll open this up. This is really packed in here, which is pretty impressive because the only other 12-foot with a box that's small like this that I can think of for Home Depot is the Witch. And that is probably a bit smaller than this even. That one, though, is a pretty small prop in comparison to the other 12-foots. This guy is a similar design, obviously, using that levitating off of the one main pole, but his proportions seem bigger. So it's still pretty impressive that they fit him in this size box. So two of the poles, and I believe because of the shape of them, as you can see, they're a bit bent. I believe these are some main poles that lead up to the Reaper. Here we have what looks to be an arm. Here we have paper instructions in case you don't have the box to reference. Here we have the first hand already. Definitely bigger proportions than the Witch. That is huge. That is definitely one of the larger hands I've seen. So that's awesome. Here we have another arm. Here we have some form pieces. We have probably a spine. That's usually what pieces like this are. And along with that is the main rib cage piece right there. Let's see how this looks. This all lights up as well. Oh yeah, that looks great. This looks super, super cool and also very huge. Here we have some wood pieces for the staff. The staff is all blow molded plastic. Very, very similar again to the Witch. Here is also another very similar piece. This is likely where the Reaper connects off of. Here we have his scythe piece, and it's actually two pieces. This thing is huge. Another wood piece. I like the detailing they did here with the rope tying those extra pieces on. That's cool. We have a hip piece. We got the hip loop and the control box mounted to that. Waterproof buttons right there. And all the plugs are very unique and hopefully will hold up in weather. Here we have the adapter in the box and also some screws and an Allen wrench on the side. Here's his open hand. This one is actually really, really cool for a few reasons. One, it's giant and open, looks really cool, nicely detailed. But two, as you can see, there are three lights here. One is an exterior light, and I love when props have that because lighting up all the different props takes so many lights that it gets very expensive. But ones like this where they're self-lit, that helps so much, especially when there's a ton. And then also you can see the other two lights are for inside of here so that it lights up all these little cracks inside the fingers. Really cool. Again, very similar to the Witch, this runs down that main staff. And this is basically what you plug into, and it also has a waterproof cap right here, so he should definitely hold up in weather. We have three more wood textured pieces for the staff. Here is his shoulder frame right here. This looks awesome. There's two spots right here, which must be for the mechanism for the head because his head does turn, and that piece is nice. That's really good quality. Here is his bag with all of his clothing in it. This is a clever way of including all the ground stakes. We won't need these because we're inside, but you do have them included. It was all in this pole right here, along with all of the other poles right here. Now, this one looks like a main pole. That's one we're going to actually use. These four are supports, and actually there's five, so it's probably more similar to the Phantom and his base. But yeah, there are some outer supports for the base. We have a round pole, which I'm not sure what this is for yet. Here is his head. It is on the mechanism right now, so that's pre-attached. And that thing is really, really cool. That looks great. It's spring-loaded here on the mech, so that's kind of cool. And basically how it works is it's kind of loose on there, and these springs pull it back and forth, and the motor just spins. So it's going to make it really just do that. So it's not the exact way most turning mechs work, but it is very similar. And then it also has this black covering so that you can't see the mech, which is actually really nice. I have not seen that before. But yeah, looks really good, nicely detailed, and this lights up too. Now here's the reason they can do these small boxes. It's because of the base being split in half. For a lot of the 12 foots, they have these giant bases that are just all one piece, and they stuck with that for a little while, but then eventually they switched to these half bases, which are great because that basically cuts the box size in half, because the base is usually the main thing, keeping it large. But there it is. That is the piece that the Reaper holds onto, and this is really nicely attached here. There's 4 different welded sections supporting it all up. So this should definitely last. And then here's the other half of that base. All right, so that's all the parts out of the box. Let's get to the setup. Here we go. All right, let's begin. So first step is connecting the 2 halves of the bases together. Now something that makes this easier is doing it facing up like this. And then we have a screw here. You get one of the small ones. There's 2 small ones and 1 large one. The small one just goes right here, and then we can Allen wrench this in. All right, now we have our first pull right here. Make sure you have the far snap lock side. So this is going to come all the way down here, snap lock down, and then we have a screw in here. And this is done with the second small one. All right, now we have our first wood piece, and run the wires of this little adapter connection through it first. So this can then slide down like this, meet the screw right there, and then this piece can still stay at the bottom while the cords run up it. We then have our F pull right here. This can slide down. This one is just a snap lock. All right, so now we have G right here. We're going to slide the wires down this before we slide this piece on, and this just makes it so that the wires are hidden all the way up. Okay, now that those are slid in, we can then slide this all the way down while keeping the wires fairly stretched. All right, we're then going to repeat the exact same steps here. Run the wires up this new one, which is labeled H. H is then going to slide down over the top. Again, keep the wires tight. All right, so this is when we're going to now lean it down onto its own box so we can build it all sideways and then stand it up rather than having to get on a huge ladder and get all the way up there. This is the good point to do that. So let's lean it down and then we'll be right back. We then have our I pull, and this is just going to snap lock down here. It now wants us to flip this all, and that's so that we can then attach the next piece facing up. And this next piece here is J. This is going to snap lock down into that new up facing piece. The hand can then slide all the way down, and that wraps around everything. We can then connect the arm wire to the hand. The clothing can then slide down. Make sure you have your left arm here. That slides all the way down, and then we'll expose the pole at the top. We have the shoulder frame here. We're attaching piece O. This snap locks down here. We then also have this round piece, and this just snap locks in, and that must hold the hip frame. We then have his other arm right here. This is going to slide down his sleeve and then snap lock in. Next, we're back over here to the round pole, and this is where the hip piece attaches down here. And make sure your clothing slides over that, and we can adjust it later. Just make sure that is in there. We then have his rib cage piece. This just attaches with prongs. Next up, we have his head. This attaches with those 2 snap lock pieces right here. And then run all these wires down the neck because we can connect them now. We can then put on his hood here. There's 3 Velcros for that. We have the front main Velcro right here on his forehead, and then 2 smaller ones on the side. We can then attach his other hand. This one is just freestanding. It doesn't connect to anything other than his arm. Snap locks down here, and then as you can see, the fingers kind of look like they're wrapping it, but they don't actually touch. We then have another wood piece. This is L. We then have M right here, another pull. The final wood piece here before the scythe. We can then attach the scythe here. There's a hole back here to reach the snap lock. And then finally, the remainder of the scythe. We then have the form piece down here, and this just keeps the clothing from going too crazy. So it keeps them realistic. All right, so other than posing the clothing around and stuff, because that'll be when he's up, we are complete with the setup. So let's stand him up and see how he looks. All right, here he is, fully stood up and ready to go. Let's plug him in. All right, so there he was, the Levitating Reaper from Home Depot. This thing is super, super cool. One huge thing that I love about it is that animation of the head. It doesn't look like much on video, but in person it's really cool because it uses a similar way that the old thrashing mechs work. So it basically makes it tilt as well as turn, so it's super unique. The overall look of him is obviously really, really cool. I love the levitating. Again, in person, it looks a lot more effective than on video. So you kind of have to see this thing in person before judging it. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Now seeing it in person, it's definitely much cooler. All the different lighting options are really cool as well. Here showing the box, these are all the different ones you can choose from. There's also that rainbow one that just filters through. And I really like that you can actually choose it because on the Phantom, for example, you set one and then it kind of just filters through no matter what. You can't really just keep it on one. Showing the box again, something I noticed is it has that 6 hours on, 18 off, which I love when they do that because I'm actually having him in a spot that's not going to be easy to get to. He's really, really high up, kind of on a roof of a place. So it's not going to be something I can just go up and click the buttons or unplug very easily. So having something like that is awesome. He seems overall really sturdy. This is indoors, so we'll see how it does in wind, but it looks to be pretty waterproof as well. And this clothing is the type that deflects the water right off of it, so you don't really need to worry about that getting heavy. And it doesn't look like there's much for the water to pool up in. Unlike the legs would pool up like crazy and then cause a lot of issues. So this one seems really, really nice. My one flaw with it is the audio quality, which I've noticed on a few of Home Depot's items this year, because the voice and phrasing and that's all pretty awesome. And there's actually some cool background noise as well. I'm not sure if that picked up on camera, but they're pretty nice. The only thing is the speaker quality. It's very, very quiet. It's hard to understand. So if that could be improved, and I'm sure there's an external speaker option, or at least you could attach your own. But if that could be improved, that would be awesome because it is a pretty awesome piece. It would just be great to have a big booming voice that you can understand. All right, so there he was. He's really cool. This is the Levitating Reaper from Home Depot. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.